And do you remember when you looked in the water and saw your reflection, the embers? They drew out a map and they showed you direction. You said.
All right, so we're talking about how the big-headed queen chick from Alice in Wonderland does it for us.
The lovely Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah. So welcome to Wayfinder on that note.
Yeah.
I'm Adam.
I'm JC. Welcome, guys.
And we're having the best time.
As always.
Yeah. Talking about how the big-headed midget lady from Alice in Wonderland is got this crazy attractive thing going.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Helena Bonham Carter.
Helena?
Helena.
Like
Bonham. Alaska.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Okay, well, I love her. Sweeney Todd.
She can do no wrong. Well, she's in every Tim Burton movie because that's Tim Burton's wife.
Are you? I had no idea.
Yeah.
Really?
For real.
I thought his wife was Johnny Depp. Are they not married? I thought that was the thing.
I think they have an open.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, man. I bet she and Tim Burton make each other very happy. I'm sure. Yeah, she's weird as fuck, but I love her
in the best way.
Yeah. Totally. She's quirky. Harry Potter. She's a great Harry Potter.
Great. I killed Sirius Black.
Every guy who's not quite right, which most of us aren't,
mm-hmm.
are kind of into that thing about a chick who's not quite right.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It's Friedrich Nietzsche made that comment about boys always enjoying their playthings, and then when you grow up, you want a man. You want as a man, you want the most dangerous plaything,
mm-hmm.
which is a woman.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Particularly a woman who's a little bit off. I think we're all kind of into that.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah, I won't take that one any further.
Welcome
aboard the Wayfinder fucking spaceship. We've got a cymatics plate that we play with a lot.
Yeah, we noticed on the podcast we've had it here and we've had a frequency on it. We've had an image, and it's become part of our set. But we're gonna make it a little bit more interactive. I think it was a cool thing that we decided just to show the example of how pretty it is. And then how fun playing with numbers and just operating in that space. It just so happens that today
is October 17th.
So let's play with numbers for a second. 10, 17. Let's do the digital root of that from the things we've learned from Robert Grant.
You guys know the digital root. That's when you add up the sum of all the digits of a number. So 10, 17, you add up 117.
Mm-hmm. And you get
9.
9. Digital
root is 9. And so something that our friend Robert told us is that there's something about, Tesla said this, and Robert helped us understand it better, is that the number 3, 6, 9, there's harmony in these numbers written into the fabric of the universe. And so anytime you encounter a 3 or a 6 or a 9, there's going to be a harmonic sort of signature there. And within the frequency of different musical notes, particularly, the number 9 has a harmonic frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime you measure the hertz frequency of a particular sound, if the digital root of that number of hertz, of that frequency in hertz, whenever that digital root equals 9, you're going to get a harmonic image. And we've played with this cymatics plate enough to be certain at this point that there are some disharmonic fucking notes.
Yeah, you can visibly see.
You can make some really disharmonic, really ugly shit happen on this thing with disharmonic frequencies. And I think the really neat thing for me about cymatics plates, we talked about this before, the study of cymatics, is understanding the different sounds and how there really is a disharmonic resonance that exists within certain frequencies. And whenever you understand that thoughts have their own frequency and all energy has its energy signature, everything works in waveforms. This cymatics plate has been a tremendous learning tool for me. So because it's 1017, we're going to
throw that in here.
We're going to throw on 1017 hertz. And for anyone listening, it may not be the prettiest sound, but for anyone watching, you're going to see a really cool shape.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Here we go.
So we're just going to turn on 1017, and I'm going to slowly build the volume up, and the sand is going to do its job.
And if we don't do it slowly, the sand just fucking blasts everywhere. Look at that.
And what we're getting is just a really beautiful, beautiful image. It's symmetrical. It's intricate.
You can kind of see that. There we go. Ooh, beautiful. We'll use the coasters to prop it up a little bit so you can see it. So there you go. We wanted to make that a thing because it's happened to be a day. The
had
digital root of the
perfect
date was
digital
9,
Yeah.
so fuck it, why not? We got a cymatics plate laying
Yeah.
around. It makes sense. So yeah, go look into cymatics if you're not looking into cymatics, and understand something that Nikola Tesla said, which is that everything makes more sense about the universe if you look at it all in terms of sound and vibration, frequencies.
It's beautiful stuff.
It's beautiful stuff. And the 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah, call back if you haven't. Go back and watch our podcast with Robert Grant.
Oh yeah, we did that.
It's just a shout out. Just go back and check that out if you haven't yet. It's a wildly interesting conversation, and you don't have to, because trust me, I was there when we were shooting it. Understand everything that's happening to get all kinds of goodness out of it.
Yeah, that was fucking mind blowing. We've since made good friends with Robert, but that was the first time meeting him in person, and I'd had a couple conversations with him on the phone, but man, it was difficult to navigate that conversation without just I really had to have my wits about me.
It was intimidating.
Yeah.
I mean, to a certain degree.
It was.
He turned out to be just an absolutely lovely human being.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Awesome person. But yeah, walking in, knowing somebody that smart is about to, engage you and teach you. And it was trying to stay on pace of a podcast, but you're learning new stuff at the same time.
Yeah. I love him to death. He's a great guy. Always makes himself available whenever I need to bother him about stupid shit. Like, hey, Robert, tell me how light works.
Mm-hmm.
Send him text. Had a couple glasses of wine at 11 p.m. He always obliges. He's such a good sport.
Shout out to Robert. Go check him out on Instagram. Any platform that you can get him on.
Yeah,
his Instagram right now is where he seems to be most active, and I love it when it pops up. It's informational. It's insightful.
Yeah, it does. He keeps a steady flow of information going on his Instagram. Robert Edward Grant is the name of that Instagram, and you can check out the podcast that we did with him on our YouTube channel or iTunes or any of the other things. Go to our website. Go to wayfinderpodcast.com.
Yes.
All of the things are there. So if you want to go to whatever platform, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Instagram, it's all linked there on wayfinderpodcast.com. You can also support us on Patreon if you go there.
Absolutely. Go to Patreon. Anything that you can provide and support-wise is greatly appreciated.
We really appreciate that support in a big way, because we do all this shit for you guys. If this podcast has ever impacted you in a positive way, if it's ever done anything for you, if you just throw a couple bucks toward the podcast, it really fuels this whole thing and helps us do what we do. And what else really helps is comments and ratings on like Apple Podcasts. If you guys are listening,
you're listening right now, like when you get done, say thanks.
Yeah.
Anything you want to put in a blurb.
Fuck
or a
off,
comment.
Yeah.
This was dumb.
Yeah.
It still helps us,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the joke's on you, bitch.
So yeah, comment, turn that little notification marker on if you're watching on YouTube right now, so when a new video goes up, bing, your phone goes off. Hey, there's a new podcast up.
Yep, 100%. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever. Go put a comment on there and let us know what you think, and throw us a rating. It doesn't have to be anything complex. Just like
it helps this podcast go further, and it finds its way to more people. And the whole reason we're doing this is to impact people's lives. So the more people we can do, that too is the best. So help us with that.
It matters. It makes a big difference. So all of the house cleaning out of the way.
Yes.
It's all important stuff we got to do. So
how you been, man?
Dude, I was hot, man. It's 45 degrees this morning, and it's 80 degrees now, and I'm over it. So I had to take my sweater off. I was fucking about to melt. So JC and I are matchers now. If you're watching on YouTube, we both got the navy blue shirts on.
When you're synced up with somebody, I mean, we work hand in hand.
Yeah.
We're constantly in communication, and you end up starting to fall into rhythmic grooves. And, and we both lean towards our navy blue shirts today as a choice.
It says something about our psyche, whenever you pick the same colors to wear all the time, which most people do, right? This color blue is it's a sign of wisdom and intellect and outspokenness of your wisdom and intellect. In like all the chakra world stuff.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that we're wise or intelligent. It means we'd like to see ourselves that way.
Sure.
That's what that means. But it also means, depending on the shade of blue, it's a throat chakra blue too. So like, if you are a person who wants to speak your truth and you're not speaking your truth, or you're a person who wants to be a singer but you're afraid to sing, right? Or if you have some story to tell and you're not telling it, these are all sort of symbolic things, right? Blue is the color you want to wear because that is the color that opens up the throat chakra.
Okay.
So I've always been a fucking loudmouth, right? And I've always wanted to consider myself an intellectual and all these things. And so my closet's always been full of blue shirts, like side to side, wall to wall. So this last year, I've spent a lot of time getting rid of blue shirts and putting green shirts in there.
Okay. And what is green?
Heart chakra.
Heart chakra.
Heart chakra.
Love it.
Open that motherfucker up.
Okay.
You know, because I coming from a very left brain sort of, you know, my whole life, or my whole adult life anyway. I've always been very left-brained and sort of just calculating and been like a problem-solving fucking robot. You start to shut down that heart chakra.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's not if it's not what you're using every day.
Yeah, it's a muscle. You don't use it, you lose it. The chakras are like that. So I realized that. So I've got this green prenite necklace that I got from the Tribal Element.
Yes.
Yep, New Zealand people that make this jewelry, sort of tribal inspired jewelry down in New Zealand. Good people.
Beautiful stuff.
I love their stuff.
Masterful.
Guys, go check them out on Instagram, Tribal Element. They make beautiful things. I got you a necklace from Tribal Element.
Do.
I see that you're not wearing it.
It's charging.
That's
I actually have it on.
Okay.
I realized I had worn it for like several months. And never set it in the window to get some sun. Never put on.
I probably need to do it. It's all fucking gummed up with my bad juju.
It can happen.
Yeah, it can. You got to take your stuff off and charge it. It is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the green prenite, this is a healer's stone, right? This is something that pertains. It's the healer's healing stone, right? So like it's a lot of times as a healer, you know, as an empath or an intuitive person, we try to, you know, take on the struggles and the challenges of the people around us and stuff like that. So this is protection for the healer. But it's green, and I wanted something green for the heart chakra. I wanted something earthy, and it's actually got a little piece of grass that's frozen inside of it.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I mean? So it was sort of it's an important earthy grounding sort of stone for me. But the green color is a thing that opens up our heart chakras, and it grounds us too. So that's the color of the earth. The earth is the green planet.
It's beautiful, man.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful.
So you guys ought to look into that stuff because, you know, we're both wearing blue shirts. I actually don't think that it's an accident because I think we knew we were going to come and record. We set 1 or 2 days a week aside to do these podcasts, and we kick everybody out of the fucking office, and then we just come back to the studio and we do this. But wearing the blue shirts, I think subconsciously, our subconscious goes for the blue because it knows that it opens up the throat chakra. It's kind of like if you're low on protein, you may not consciously realize you're low on protein, but like your body goes for the eggs or goes for the steak.
Yeah.
Or you know, you're
that's what you're craving.
You're craving that
specifically
thing.
For whatever reason.
You're not thinking I'm craving protein. You're like, I want a steak. Well, maybe that's your preferred method of protein intake, but it's your subconscious is making the decisions there and going, hey, I want this because we need protein. And I think we probably did that. We probably wore blue shirts for the same reason. Mm-hmm. So yeah, neat stuff. Dude, last night, so we got in. It was a long day. Good day. But it was,
you guys are busy on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Wednesdays are a busy day. Thursdays are a busy day. It's gonna be another one today. But we got in from jiu-jitsu. It was like 8 o'clock, like 8 p.m. Or 8:15. The kids got showered. I didn't get a chance to shower. And then we got dinner going. We ate. It was like 9:30 before we get done eating, which sucks because it's late, but it is what it is. Did homework, did all the stuff we could. So it's like 10:30 before I'm getting in the shower myself.
Lovely.
Smelling like a bum's nutsack. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to come anywhere near me, right? I'm trying to tuck my kids in. They're like, Dad, get the fuck out of here. Like, you smell terrible. Go take a shower. But it was late. I was worn out. And so, like, I get out of the shower and I go over to my bed and I do what I do. Like, I watch Star Trek Next Generation. That's what I like to do at night. That's my thing. So I grew up on Next Generation. Picard was like my other father, you know? And so I was like, I want to watch Next Generation. And then I saw on my nightstand, I saw this stack of books.
Ah.
Son of a bitch. You know, and then I start getting this conflicted higher self, lower self thing. And I'm like, well, do you want to just zone out on Netflix like you do when you're really tired? Fuck
yeah,
yes.
I'm tired.
Absolutely, that's what I want to do. I've been solving problems.
I earned this.
Fuck yes. I just want to chill and just zonk out. And I have such a nostalgic peaceful connection with Star Trek Next Generation from the time I was like 6. I think season 1 came on when I was like 6.
Well, I find that very common in people. Everybody has their, it's like their favorite blanket. And we have everything streaming now. You have your go-to. This is my zone out time. I've been thinking and working all day, and this is where I'm just gonna like
talk to me, Picard.
Go numb. Yeah.
Tell me what to dream about.
Yes.
The whole crew, man. I'm a member of that crew at heart for sure. The fucking Enterprise, and so it was really, I was like, I just want to zone out. But I've had this thing about, I've talked about it on here before, and you certainly know about it. But like this one push-up policy, right?
I'm aware.
And so for anyone who doesn't know, who's never heard me talk about this, which I have a lot, is I sat behind a desk for like 12, 13 years of my adult life and didn't do shit, right? Just work 12 hours a day, 5, 6, 7 days a week. And that leads to a lot of problems and a lot of issues. And I about a year ago now, through a chain of connections I made with people who were inspiring to me in different ways, I decided to do something different with my life. And so I started getting healthy physically. I started paying attention to my physical health. And part of that was doing jiu-jitsu. Part of that was doing gymnastics. Part of that was going to the gym, doing all kinds of different things. And what I realized was the hardest part of getting in shape for me was getting off the couch where I was comfy. Starting is the hardest part.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
It always is.
No matter what you're trying to do,
spend more time thinking about not doing something and why you shouldn't do it than it would take the time to just
just do it. So what I realized was that the conversation I had in my mind was, Adam, go do one push-up. Just do one push-up, man. And then the other part of my consciousness came in and said, dude, if you don't get the fuck up and go do one push-up, then you're lazy and you don't deserve to be happy and healthy and satisfied anyway. And the other part of myself, the lazy part, couldn't really disagree with that. Like, it was a really fair argument. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, you have a point there. You have a point. One push-up, fuck you. I'll do... Yes, I'm stuffing my fourth fucking Oreo in my mouth. My fourth row of Oreos. And so I developed this one push-up policy. And it was like, and I've told people about this, like, just do one push-up a day. Because you can't win that argument in your mind. You can't justify the argument of why you're not doing a push-up. And I don't give a fuck if you do it on your knees, on your head. I don't care how you do the push-up. I don't care how many cheats you put.
Just get down there.
Just get down there and do it. Do one push-up a day and you can change the course of your life, because your mental health is intricately woven into your physical health, right? Your anxiety, your depression, your self-confidence, your desire to make change, your ability to cope with the challenges that come at you. It's all wrapped up in your physical health and your mental health. It's all tied together. So my thing was like, just do one push-up a day. Because if you can sell yourself on doing the one push-up a day, you're going to get down there and you're going to do 2, you're going to do 5, you're going to do 10, you're going to do 20. And now I do a couple hundred push-ups a day, and I don't even know. I do a couple hundred pull-ups a day. I don't know.
They're doing handstands around the office.
Yeah, I'm walking around the office. I'm doing fucking handstands and shit. I wouldn't have thought to do this a while back. But it all started with one push-up a day. Fast forward to last night. So last night I decided that that one push-up a day thing didn't have to stop at one push-up. So, because it didn't. For me it was one pull-up, it was one sit-up. But it also goes to one page. So
Okay.
Yeah. One page. Read one page. You don't have to sacrifice Star Trek Next Generation for a book. That was the wrong perspective to have.
Yeah. You're not going to read the book.
I'm not going to read the fucking...
But I'll finish the episode.
Read one page. Read one page of a book.
I can get behind this.
You know what I mean? And so I had that same conversation with myself I'd had before. If you are so fucking lazy and so uninterested in your intellectual exercise that you can't read one page, you deserve to be stupid. You just deserve to be unenlightened and dumb and intellectually lazy. And so I picked up this book.
Okay.
This is called The Wisdom of the Shamans by Don Jose Ruiz, who is, I forget what tribe, but it's a Mesoamerican tribe, the Aztecs or the Mayans or something like that. And he wrote this book. He's awesome. And I was like, I'm just going to read one page. But I read one paragraph. And I was like, holy shit. And I just flipped back to the beginning of the chapter. I was like, I got to fucking, what's going on?
So you just cold opened and read.
Cold open. Well, I think my bookmark was in there somewhere. It had something to do with it. But yeah, whatever it was, I think my bookmark was there. I didn't remember what was going on there.
Of course.
And what's interesting is that, like, once I got into the story, like, the story meant a lot more to me than it did last time, because I wouldn't have put the fucking book down where I did if I would have gotten the realizations then that I do now.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my point is, one paragraph. All of this was very meaningful to me, and so it sparked this. I'm actually gonna share this. I was, this is not a thing or whatever. I've got too much going on my fucking home screen, but I want to show you guys. I decided, and I'm big into this kind of stuff. I'm big into affirmations. I'm big into, put your home screen of your phone onto a picture that's inspiring to you or something like that. I mean, my unlocked screen is like me and my kids, but like my locked screen, the shit that I see every time I pick up my phone, I want it to be something inspiring. So let's see if you guys can see this. All right, so what that says, it's a big flaming number 1. And on top of the number 1, it says, one day, one page, one song, one step, one breath, one dance, one push-up. And to me, that's everything. Because every day, read one page. Listen to one song, sing one song, write one song. Take one step. Take one step in your jog, in your walk, and whatever it is, one step towards your goal, one step towards your passion. One breath of meditation, one breath of conscious breathing. Just step aside for 1 minute and just breathe one time, just one breath. And then one dance. We don't dance. We don't dance enough. We need to dance.
We need to dance.
We need to dance. It loosens you up. It gets that feminine energy going.
100% does it. It does a million things. It unlocks just all these great, you feel good. It's joy. To dance is joy, and you have to put yourself in a place of joy, and it'll inevitably bring joy out of you.
Joy is the enemy of stress. Stress is the biggest killer in the world.
Any of these things, you take the first step, you do the first page, you do just one motion into it, inevitably, you'll do a second.
Yeah, you can't help it. What are you gonna do? You gonna go dance for 2 seconds and stop?
No.
You're gonna go do one push-up and stop? It's not gonna happen. So this became a thing that I want to make a thing, because
it should be a thing.
It's a thing in my life. Just have the number 1 up somewhere, and then whatever your thing is, right? For me, it was one push-up, and that became, all of a sudden, I was doing one push-up, one pull-up, one sit-up. That turned into going to jiu-jitsu and get my ass kicked 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, this was a build for you.
Yeah.
Your fitness journey, and you're looking fit these days, but you didn't all of a sudden go to the gym and go to jiu-jitsu and do all these things.
This started with one push-up. My whole lifestyle change started with one push-up, and it changed my life. Mm-hmm. And it changed the lives of my kids and my whole family. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So that turned into one page. Read one page. And then that opened up the wisdom of the shaman. So I've got this thing I'm going to start doing on here, and I'm not going to do it all the time, like every single episode every week, but I want to do it every once in a while. And I think that people who enjoy this podcast are going to appreciate this for what it is, right? I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to read this chapter. It's not a long chapter, but it's a story. This is the story of the birth of Quetzalcoatl, and it is ignite your imagination and creativity.
Awesome.
You and I struggle with this. I think any artistically minded person struggles with how do we get over creative blockages? How do we open up our imagination?
It's a real problem.
Where do you get the inspiration from?
Constantly. Yeah.
It's something you always battle with, and we live in a world that's very left-brained. We walk outside, like we work where we work. You look around, there's buildings everywhere, but they're all straight lines. They're boxes. It's very boxy. I always kind of go back thinking of the old world, of these big, beautiful cathedrals with all this sacred geometry built into them, with stained glass windows.
Everything was art.
Everything was artistic.
You're surrounded by.
Yeah, you ever seen like some of these old mosques from? You guys go Google Moorish mosques. Just Google Moorish mosque, Moorish mosque, and I know that the Moors and Islamic people and the whole cultural overlap thing. But go look at it and just see the geometry of these beautiful buildings. And people were just walking into these things and worshiping and being connected to divinity, whatever that means to you. but it inspires creativity. It brings it out of you. And we live in a world where that's all very shut down. And then on top of that, we've got politics and current events and all this stuff being blasted at us from every angle. Distractions, you know? And it's like what really blocks you from your creativity, there's like two things, man. It's distraction and fear, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the enemy of distraction, this is important, so guys, take note of this. The enemy of distraction is mindfulness and presence.
Yes.
And how do you practice that?
Yes.
You practice mindfulness and presence through meditation and conscious breathing, right? That's the two surest ways to practice mindfulness and presence is through meditation and conscious breathing. So just do that, and that's going to free up creative pathways and get that creative energy going again. The other problem you have is fear, right? Fear is stress, it's anxiety, it's all these things. A lot of that comes from distraction, but a lot of that is just, what are other people going to think? You know, what if they don't like it? What if I want to go put a song up on YouTube and people say mean things? You're afraid of what someone else thinks.
You'll find when you're thinking that way, you're not breathing right either.
Ooh,
you're not.
That's so true.
Everybody out here can do this. If you have a car, or even if you ride the bus or you take the train, when you're commuting and you're in traffic, that's when you can do your exercise. How am I breathing? When I'm frustrated and I'm in traffic and I'm stuck in gridlock, guaranteed I'm not focused on my breathing at all.
Yeah.
Take a step. You're stuck in the car. You're going to be there. Focus on your breathing and watch how much better getting caught at 5 o'clock traffic
One
becomes.
breath. Starts with one breath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one breath. That's such a good point. It's all connected. Everything is everything, right? These are the principles of correspondence. We talk about the 7 hermetic principles.
Yes.
Everything is everything. Everything is connected. As within, so without. If you're stressed, you're not breathing right.
You're not breathing.
And if you're not breathing right, you're not creating right. You know, these are all spirals. Everything in your life says something about you, does something to you. Your breathing says something about you, and it does something to you.
Yes, it does.
You know, and what interrupts these spirals is mindfulness. Right? So if you have problems with your creativity, it's coming from fear or it's coming from distraction. Could be coming from not wearing enough blue. You need to open up your throat chakra. That could be a thing, you know. This story really hit me from a lot of angles.
Well, I haven't heard this. I'm excited.
I know. This is going to be really cool to share this with you guys. So this is Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. So Quetzalcoatl is a god of the Mesoamerican peoples. He was called Kukulkan in some cultures. He was called Viracocha in some cultures. He was called Quetzalcoatl. And I can't remember if it was like the Mayans and the Toltecs and all these different people. Let me see real quick. Who was called who? Who called him who? Whatever. Because I did want to share this with you guys. All right, so this is from Wikipedia. And contrary to popular belief, by the way, I may throw around the word shamanism a lot and stuff, but I'm not a fucking expert on these things, man. I don't pretend to be. Somebody got butt hurt the other day because I used the hashtag shaman.
Ah.
You know what I mean?
You're no shaman.
I'm not a fucking shaman.
Yeah.
You're way too white for that. Look, I don't know, man. So I will refer to Wikipedia shamelessly. You know, eat a bag of dicks. The feathered serpent, which, by the way, the feathered serpent is, and we talked about this. We had a Kundalini episode just 2 weeks ago,
yeah.
Or was that last week?
I think it was the last one up.
We talked about the
Kundalini and cube worship.
Kundalini and cube worship. So I'll leave you guys go listen to that episode. We talked about what the feathered serpent is, but Mesoamerican religions, Quetzalcoatl among the Aztecs. Okay, so the Aztecs called him Quetzalcoatl. The Maya called him Kukulkan, and he was Cucumatz among some other people, and he was K'iche' Maya. He was also Viracocha. I think that was the Olmecs or something. But anyway, the god is the same. The god, the deity of whom I and my kids, we refer to him as Quetzalcoatl, because you got to pick a fucking name at some point, right? Like Zeus could be Jupiter, or it's Zeus. Thoth could be Hermes, or Mercury, or Thoth.
It's all one and the same.
Or Ningishizda, or like Brahma. Like there's like all these different religions that call it. But it's the characteristics, the imagery. Now, it's all the same. But this is really important with Quetzalcoatl in particular, especially as it relates to this story. It's really important to understand the symbolism of Quetzalcoatl. He is the feathered serpent. And there's actually a pyramid at Teotihuacan in Mexico that's called the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent, right? And there's actually this huge, beautiful pyramid. Everyone's seen it. You've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's there's a serpent that comes down the stairs. It's a big stone serpent that goes 400 whatever feet, and it ends in this big plumed head of a serpent. And interestingly enough, like on the equinox or something like that, the sun hits it just right, and it makes this beautiful shadow it looks like the serpent's moving down the steps.
Of course it does.
What also is interesting is that the name Quetzalcoatl, if you break that up, Quetzal is actually a bird down in the jungle in the Yucatan. It's actually this particular bird that makes a particular chirping noise, which I'm not going to make.
Okay. I'm
going to spare everyone that.
But I think we'd all, but you don't. Yeah, don't do it.
Nope. Not going to happen. I don't want my inbox full of people bitching about me making fucking bird noises, because it would happen.
That is not how it sounds.
That is not how it sounds, dick.
And you would get that.
Yeah, I would totally get that. Culturally appropriating the fucking wrong bird. So I'm not going to do it. But the bird makes a specific chirp. What's really interesting is that if you go to the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent and you clap in the courtyard, the acoustics of that pyramid are built in such a specific way that it chirps back at you in the sound of the Quetzal bird.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Fucking genius. These guys were geniuses, right? They were astronomer geniuses. They understood. They were so in tune with the nature and the animals and the jungle and the mythology of how this stuff worked that they were able to do something insane like that. Build a massive building that was astronomically aligned, that made this big serpent thing on special days of the year, and it also chirped back at you when you clapped at it, right? Our buildings are big fucking boxes. Mm-hmm. These guys were on top of their shit. So, Quetzalcoatl's the feathered serpent. If you look at Chinese mythology, the feathered serpent, the dragon, right? All the dragons have the big plumed serpent. It represents the kundalini. And the kundalini is a very special energy that starts at the root chakra at the base of our spine. It climbs and swirls up around our spine and goes all the way up to the crown chakra, which is associated with the sun, the Jesus, the Christ, the enlightenment, the sun of the solar system, Saturn being the root chakra, all that symbolism that is important to understand as we read this story. Okay, so the story is multifaceted. Are you ready? I'm excited about this. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. All right, so this is the birth of Quetzalcoatl. Ignite your imagination and creativity. This is in The Wisdom of the Shamans by Don Jose Ruiz. All right, so here we go. Quetzalcoatl is the legendary feathered serpent of ancient Mesoamerican origin. He was one of the most recognized figures of the ancient world, as he appeared under various names and manifestations in many tribes of North and Central America. The name Quetzalcoatl is a combination of two Nahuatl words, Quetzal, a bird with large feathers, and Coatl, the snake. In this story, we're also introduced to Tlaloc, the god of the rain, who was instrumental in the birth of Quetzalcoatl. One particular day, a long time ago, Tlaloc, the god of the rain, was sitting above a cloud, providing life-giving water to the earth below. Tlaloc looked down and saw a beautiful cave, one that snakes came in and out of to receive the life-nurturing water. But he saw that there was one little snake that wouldn't come out. The snake was afraid of the light. It was afraid of life. It preferred to stay in the darkness and the safety of this cave, and it was too scared to venture out. At first, Tlaloc did nothing but observe. He could see this little snake's fear growing bigger and bigger. The god of rain was moved. He felt love for the little snake. It was then that he said to himself, I want to do everything in my power to help this little snake come out of the darkness and into the light. So out of love for the little snake, the god of the rain made it pour. He made it rain for days and days and days, and those days turned into weeks and months. With every inch of rainfall, more water came down into the cave, and it began to fill up. The other snakes all simply went outside, but the little snake had to keep climbing higher and higher inside the cave, into darker and darker corners to stay out of the rain. He was afraid. And while Tlaloc could see the little snake's fear, he knew that it was only this suffering that would give the little snake the courage to come out of the cave. Finally, after many months of rain with no place left to go, the little snake had no other choice but to come out. Watching the little snake emerge from the cave, Tlaloc stopped the downpour and parted the clouds, and as he did, the sun began to shine through down to the earth below. The little snake was in awe, having never seen the light or the world outside of the little cave. He marveled at the world around him as he felt the warm heat of the sun. He looked up to the sky and he saw the most amazing thing. Beautiful colored birds. The Quetzal birds were flying all around him. He was mesmerized by their beauty and their ability to leave the earth and travel with such grace. Oh, to be a bird. But another snake slid next to the little snake and said, "You love the bird, don't you? You want to fly like the bird, don't you? You want to be as beautiful as the bird, don't you?" And the little snake nodded. The other snake hissed, "Forget it. You're just a snake. You'll always be a snake. You were born to crawl. You'll never fly or be beautiful like the Quetzal birds." The little snake's spirit fell broken. Tlaloc was watching this, and he blew away all the clouds, and when he did, the sun shone more brightly than it had in 2 years. It was then that something very special happened. The little snake looked down into a pool of water left over from the rain, and through the power of the light of the sun, he saw his own reflection. And for the first time, he saw his own eyes. It was at that very moment that he recognized his true power. And with the blue sky reflecting behind his image in the water, the little snake said, "I may not have wings, but I have the power of imagination. And with this imagination, I can fly with the beautiful Quetzal birds. I have imagination. And with imagination, I can break any barrier. I can break through the impossible because I believe in me." The god of the rain smiled at this because the little snake had finally understood his real power and was no longer afraid of the light. Moved by the little snake's journey into his own power, Tlaloc decided to help him more. He blew the little snake up into the air, and he continued to blow until the little snake was even higher than the birds. As the little snake flew, the snake felt more alive than he ever had before. The little snake was not even afraid when he flew close to the sun. He knew that the light of the sun was the same light that was inside of his own self, which he used to be afraid of. Now that he was so high and close to the sun, the light was like a magnet. And the little snake flew right into the sun, and they became one. And at that moment, it produced a total eclipse. Then something came out of the sun. But this being that emerged was no longer a little snake afraid of life, but instead the great feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl. He no longer needed the god of rain to blow on him to make him fly. He had harnessed the power of his imagination and transformed himself into something greater than he was before by using his imagination and believing in his own power. Quetzalcoatl emerged out of the sun and flew around the world, feeling the beauty, feeling the freedom of life and of love. And as he looked down, he saw the cave where he had spent his whole life, and he thought about the other beings in the world that were suffering like he once did. They did not know their true power, and he wanted to be of service to them. And as he flew, he saw the great city of pyramids, Teotihuacan. He landed in what is now called the Plaza of Hell, and he said, "This is where I will build my temple, the pyramid of the feathered serpent, because I want to bring heaven to hell. I will take heaven with me to any of my brothers and sisters who will find themselves in hell. That is who I am here to help."
Wow. That's impressive.
So this is the story of the power that we have inside of us. The power that we have, you can look at this from the kundalini side, you can look at this from, just our own unrecognized creative potential that we have. But to me, I think it's important to understand the imagery of the kundalini in this story, because really that's where I think the full impact of the story makes sense, which is the snake rising up to the sun, right, and becoming the feathered serpent and realizing that the power of the sun resides in us, right? And then that's a fire that we can then go share with the rest of humanity. What I think was interesting, though, and what really this whole episode kind of came together over breakfast.
Yes.
What's interesting here is that the story turned a corner when he saw his reflection.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
Yeah,
I see where you're headed with this.
I see where I'm going. Right. So this today's story is about mirrors. This episode is about mirrors, right? And there's a lot of different ways to look at mirrors, a lot of different things to think about with mirrors. But I thought it was interesting because we spent a lot of time this morning talking about different meanings of mirrors. But this is seeing your reflection and seeing power in your reflection, and then growing out of that.
Yeah, this was the opposite of what I think a lot of people have, because we're so used to our reflections.
Yep.
It's not a new thing.
Yeah, and this is what we were getting at earlier, right? This morning as we were kind of putting this episode together, and we had a couple of, ideas that we wanted to come together. We had no idea this whole episode happened over breakfast.
Over breakfast, yeah.
But it's this idea that we have become really, we've developed toxic relationships with the mirror.
Yeah. Well, I'd spent a good amount of time avoiding the mirror.
Yeah.
Actively not participating in an experiment, but just I wasn't focused. I was in a time and a place in my life where I wasn't getting up and getting ready. I wasn't worried about. I was working from home for like an entire year. So just getting up and going about my day, and I had spent an entire beautiful day. Right, had a wonderful, productive work day. I was interacting with my wife and kid. And then I went in to go to the restroom, and I saw my reflection, and I forget exactly what was going on aesthetically on my face. Maybe a pimple, maybe my hair was just a total mess, and I just looked,
hadn't combed your hair in 2 weeks.
Yeah, there was something, and I saw it, and I went, ugh, and it made me
unhappy.
It made me cringe, and I went, I wish I would have never saw that, because now that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
It made me, oh man, oh my goodness, I went around like this all day with this thing staring back at everybody, and nobody said anything. And then that's when the idea came to me that mirror is a tool and a useful one, but when you really start to think about it, it's more part of our lives than we ever imagined. It's the first thing what's the first thing you do when you get up?
You go look in the mirror, you brush your teeth, you comb your hair, you make sure you look good. That's what I do.
Yeah. Most people would have a ritual in the bathroom of going to the restroom, brushing their teeth, combing their hair, something along those lines. So you start your day looking at this reflection, and then you also do a similar routine at the end of your day. So a mirror is a big part of your life.
It's like a bookend for your day.
Yes, exactly. So what I discovered was this toxic relationship that most people, without knowing it, have with the mirror. It's become this hypnotic thing where you have to reflect a certain image to yourself in the mirror before you can feel good or leave the house. My wife does her makeup every morning in the mirror. She spends all this time in the mirror.
It's that thing that you're seeking approval from.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really, yourself. Some version of yourself that you're seeking approval from.
Exactly. You for some reason, knowing exactly what you're looking like when you walk out the door gives you a boost of confidence or self-doubt or a self-esteem problem. But if the mirror wasn't a part of our lives and our rituals like that, would it be that big a part of our psyche when we walked around all day?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Like like a caveman, obviously they didn't have a mirror.
No mirrors.
They didn't have it. And you made the comment that you might see a reflection in still water.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, and that hit me hard because my brain of thinking of how all those different things, the symbolism and the metaphor that could be, you only got to see your own reflection when the water was still.
When it was calm.
You see your true reflection when the waters are still. What does that mean? But that's a natural. That's an axiom. That's a natural truth.
Mm-hmm.
In the natural world, where else do you see your reflection but still water? And you go to the water to drink. But
and how often is water glass?
How often is it glass still? So you're always seeing some distorted reflection when you're seeing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never been more true than now, because now you have the ability to see a clear material reflection of yourself anytime you walk into your bathroom.
Anytime you want, any time of the day, because we all walk around with that black mirror in
That's
our pocket.
unnatural. That's unnatural. It's not natural, but we have the black mirror in our pocket too. And so I wanted to dig into what we were looking at earlier, because there's a whole esoteric sort of understanding of what a mirror is. And there's hundreds of ideas about what a mirror is in different cultures and stuff like that, because it's totally different than what we think about today with the mirror. We're just like, oh, it's just a way to check our fucking makeup, but it's not. Okay, since ancient times, and this is from super mainstream website here called Occultopedia.
Occultopedia.
Occultopedia, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody references Occultopedia. Since ancient times, mirrors, as well as all smooth reflective surfaces, have been used for divination, magic, and repelling evil. They also have been greatly feared for their power to steal the soul. So,
boom.
Can we get so vain and so wrapped up in our own image and wrapped up in the cultural expectations that we're trying to fulfill with our image that the mirror begins to steal our soul?
Yes.
What else could that mean? I mean, that's a perfect explanation.
It takes so much of our identity of who we feel we are, and we take all that and we throw it out, right? Because we're too worried about what people are going to think when they see us, right?
Yeah.
So you've now taken your self-identity of how you feel, how you're feeling. I feel great, but I'm having a really bad hair day.
Yeah.
Or this haircut's not the same haircut as everybody else, and you're walking around, the last thing you see before you leave the house, is your reflection and your self-image, and you wear that. We talked about, there's nothing worse when you were in high school and you had like what we call down here in Texas, I don't know if this is a universal term, but a cowlick.
Yeah.
Right? So
I wonder if that's a universal term.
I don't know, but we call it cowlick, but basically
it's where your hair sticks
you're
up.
Fixing your hair, but you got this one piece that no matter how much gel you can put in your hair to make it spiky, you got that one just wonky piece that nobody might notice at all, but you walk around knowing that it's there as soon as you leave the house, and you're like, everybody's looking at this thing that I couldn't fix, and you become self-conscious. All of a sudden it starts to bother you. You have acne and you're aware of it, and you see it and you go, everybody's looking at my acne, because you're looking at it. That's where you're focusing your thought and attention. I think people get caught up in that more than they should.
So this goes back to what we talk about a lot of times here are your values calibrated in the right way? Are they anchored in the right way?
Yes.
And if you're so wrapped up in a cowlick, or does this shirt match my pants? You're standing in front of the mirror, turning around 15 different ways, and you're going back to the closet to go pull out 10 different shirts. And at what point does like managing your self-image and having like proper self-love and self-respect and all those kinds of things, does that become vanity? I think that's one of those tightropes that we walk as human beings, because I can speak from personal experience, and I know that you being in the military, you had an interesting experience too, with just being issued a uniform and all that stuff. For a lot of years, and even to some extent now, this is sort of the line that I walk. Like, I've got like 6 pairs of cargo pants I wear all winter long.
Yeah.
And like, 6 or 7 different colors of fucking, T-shirts, or
it's all the same shirt.
It's all the same shirt. And I literally ordered like 6 or 7 pairs of cargo pants in different colors on Amazon. Just same product. You know what I mean? But they're functional. And I've got like some black combat boots that I wear with them, and I've got a vest, and I've got.
Well, there's a threshold that you reach at whatever point in your life, and some people never get there. But I have achieved what I feel like is a breakthrough in not identifying myself as my image, my physical image. And eventually you break out of like I have to look a certain way to be, so that when people see me, I'm presented in the way that I want to be seen, versus just being that person.
Yeah.
And then that will come out. Who you are at your core will come out in the way that you behave and act, and not how you look.
Right.
But vanity, especially, being an American and a teenager in your early 20s, you got to have that good look. You go in for certain things. You're always dressed. You're always worried about how you're perceived, right? And that's just a toxic thing.
Yeah. Are we? I think maybe the problem is we're not taking stock of like, what are we trying to accomplish? Who are we? It's the self-identity problem. Who the fuck am I?
Exactly.
Who am I trying to be?
And that's how you get to that milestone, is eventually through work. It takes work, but you own who you are. You realize who you are, and you make peace with who you are, and it doesn't matter who you are to other people, because you're comfortable and you're happy and you love yourself. It's self-love. And then all of a sudden, doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks. Doesn't matter. And you don't care, and they might care. But what you find out is the less you give a shit, the less other people will give a shit. Eventually they go, that guy doesn't give a, why am I could judge him on that, but he doesn't give a shit.
Well, people are attracted, we say this all the time, authenticity is magnetic. Especially in a world of just fakeness everywhere. Authenticity is magnetic, and people are drawn to that. And again, it's kind of cool. Of all the things that we ended up making this episode about, I got up this morning. I saw one post on Instagram from our good friend David Hulsey, Lone Star Grappler on Instagram.
Shout out to David.
Shout out to David, my fucking brother, man. And he's just, man, he's always got good shit on his Instagram story.
Yeah, he's a cup of coffee in the morning and gets you going with his stories. It's just motivational, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And so this morning, one of the things that he said that was like super relevant to this, I'm sorry this is taking a minute. I thought I had it screenshotted, but I guess I didn't. I need to do better about this. It's hard to pull out your phone in the middle of all this stuff and make sense of it. Okay, here we go. Doot. All right. Be you, the world will adjust.
Absolutely true. 150,000%.
I mean, he did it. His picture has like a cute little campfire and stuff, so it's like better. You know, it's like all of that for that. But
that's what
be
we were
you.
discussing.
The world will adjust.
You find that out when you start being you.
Yeah, be you, the world will adjust. And there's just all kinds of things we could say about authenticity, about being your authentic self. You know, authenticity is magnetic. Be you, the world will adjust. You know, the more you begin to know yourself, the more unbearable it becomes to be someone else, right? Mm-hmm. But these are really all stories of the mirror, stories of our relationship with the mirror.
What's the Greek mythology?
Narcissus.
So beautiful. He wasn't ever. They had to try his whole life to never let him see his own reflection.
Yep.
So beautiful.
Yep. Because he ended up falling in love with himself. The story of Narcissus. And there's just infinite stories about it. And if you really look at like what goes into the mirror, like all the different mythologies of it, like I'm a big believer that like, you know, the Bible is the Bible. It may not be true, you know, but like there's truth in it.
There's truth all
There's
throughout.
truth in it, even in the parables, the allegories, and the threads that weave the stories together, right? Obviously, it's not objectively true.
Backed by universal truths.
Backed by universal truths. If you know how to read it, it's an esoteric book. But that's true of every holy book, and it's true of every mythology and every belief set out there. And so what I really like to do is actually go and read all of it as much as I can. And then when your third eye gets really going, you can start reading the common threads between all of this stuff. So like divination with mirrors is called crystalmancy and a bunch of other things. In the West, magic mirrors were particularly popular from the Middle Ages to the 19th century. They were used by all classes of society, but especially by magicians, witches, sorcerers, and cunning men and women. They go on to talk about it's in a barely known method of mirror gazing, steam can also provide divinatory responses. This requires the mirror to be hung on the wall with a low table placed before it. They put steam on it. John Dee, the famous John Dee, the royal magician. John Dee. Dr. John Dee, the royal magician to Queen Elizabeth I, used a crystal egg and a black obsidian mirror for divination. Pythagoras, one of my all-time heroes, was said to have a magic mirror that he held up to the moon to see the future in it. I could do a whole fucking episode just on the symbolism in that one statement, that one concept.
And they're useful. They're tools. They're useful. I mean, it's telescopes. It's binoculars. It's all these different things that they serve a purpose. But everybody's got different size mirrors hanging up all over their house. And what I feel like has happened over time is the opposite of a useful tool, and it's become you're almost enslaved to it. You know, all of a sudden you're trapped by that image in the mirror, and you're holding yourself accountable for the reflection of yourself that you're seeing when you really shouldn't walk around and do that.
Yeah.
You know, in superstition, you break a mirror, 7 years bad luck or whatever. No, I mean, don't go home and break your mirror, but it's not.
It may be one of those backwards ass things like so many other things, you know. Maybe breaking the mirror is not the bad luck. Maybe that's, you know, maybe there's some messaging in that's subliminal to make you value the reflection of the mirror way more than you should. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe getting rid of that mirror.
Break the mirror.
Break the fucking mirror.
Yeah.
Shatter that bitch.
First off, superstitions. If I just don't, you own a black cat.
Yeah, I do.
Seem like you got pretty good fortune.
So, but this is kind of okay, good point. Black cat, same thing. This is one of those things where I do believe that there are a lot of myths, and a lot of things that are literally backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think the serpent in the Garden of Eden is a good thing. I do. I think that maybe the mirror thing, there's a thing to it. The black cats, we know that those are considered bad luck universally nowadays, or in more recent times. But that came out of the witch hunts, which was like the most evil, fucked up human rights situation, of the last 300 years
in human history. Yeah.
But every other culture before that considered black cats to be good luck. That was like they were worshipped in a lot of the most advanced cultures before. So that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Don't break a mirror, it's bad luck. Maybe it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Maybe there's symbolism in breaking the mirror.
I worked in construction way too long to know that you can walk under a ladder. You'll be just fine.
You're still doing all right.
You'll make it. So yeah, I think back to that. Like, how did that become a thing? Well, now we're coveting the mirror. That's what this whole thing is about. It's just, what's your relationship with your self-image, and how does that affect you?
What kind of power do you give the mirror?
Exactly.
Because it's like the black mirror of your phone. What kind of power do you give it? Because the mirror is going to show you the reflection that your shadow self wants to see or expects to see, right? So if you want to see this like beautiful, gorgeous, perfect Barbie doll image, if you're a woman or whatever, or girl, young girl, God forbid, you don't see that image. You're going to modify yourself until you do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's through extensive makeup or the way that you dress, the way that you posture yourself and stick your ass out, or whatever it is, plastic surgery at a point,
And guys too, you're flexing, you want that body image, that thing you see on TV. Not everybody's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Right? And you might not be. And you might work out all the time and you're not achieving an 8-pack. Are you beating yourself up though? And is that worth the time and
Where
energy?
are those values being calibrated?
Yeah.
Are they coming from an external drive to be the best version of yourself in a balanced way? Or are they coming from some cultural image that you're trying to fulfill?
Yeah. And where's the vanity line drawn?
Where's the line? Right?
Exactly.
And it's always the fucking line. It's like always, being overly vain is a problem on one side, or just proper self-love. Where do we draw that line? I don't know.
As an overly concerned about this human being for so many years of my life, I've gotten to a place where it does not matter to me at all. And I'm probably too far in the opposite. I should probably give a little bit more of a shit, than I do.
But you're really close to action, though.
Yes. I'm just
this close to doing something about it.
Yeah. But it's finding a relationship and a balance in that relationship with, you should really be concerned about how you appear because, there's physical and health things that come into that. But if you're not achieving some standard that you set for yourself, and then that's affecting how you're walking out of your house and how you act during your day and how you view yourself, and you're carrying that stigma with you, it's not good. It's not good. And then you need to reevaluate that. Maybe stop worrying about how you look in the mirror so much.
Yeah.
Maybe try an experiment where you don't care.
Well, here's the thing: is that the mirror is the purest reflection of yourself that you're going to find, right? But everything is a mirror, really.
Oh, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah, your relationship with your kids is a mirror. Your relationship with your significant other is a mirror.
Things that piss you off about other people?
Definitely a mirror.
A mirror.
Totally a fucking mirror. But a mirror itself, an actual like reflective shiny surface, is like the purest, because a mirror doesn't have its own personality. A mirror doesn't have any attitude to give you. It doesn't, unless it's a colored mirror and it has some whatever. Or some of the mirrors, have like the funhouse mirrors, might make you look fatter or skinnier, taller.
Fat. Yeah.
Which that in itself is sort of an allegory for the relationships in our lives. So imagine that. Let that blow your mind and let that sink in for a second. Maybe some of us, every relationship is a mirror, and everything in your life, every relationship does something to you and it says something about you. It's a spiraling thing. So how many relationships do you have in your life that are making you look fatter, taller, skinnier, happier, sadder, worse, meaner, nicer, right? We go.
I like this.
Think about that. We've said before that like you your friends and stuff like that. You love people who make you love yourself when you're with them.
Yes.
People who have that give you that reflection of self that you want to see. That's a fucking mirroring relationship if there ever was one.
It's exactly what it is.
Exactly what that is. Every relationship in your life is a mirror, and everything says something about you and does something to you. So we just need to be mindful of what we see when we look in the mirror, and be mindful of the reality that every relationship that we have is itself a mirror, and that some mirrors are very clear, some are very distorted, and we need to be careful not to feed into those ones that, it's like, oh, that mirror makes me look really skinny, so therefore I'm skinny. Well, if you're 700 pounds and you're morbidly obese and you're unhealthy and, you want to stick around for, long enough to see your kids graduate high school, going through life thinking that you're skinny is not a good thing.
Not going to get you there.
Not going to get you where you want to be. And so having relationships in your life that make you feel like everything's okay and everything's good, that's not where you want to be, right? But then obsessing about the wrong things when you're staring into that mirror. Having a critical, toxic relationship with a person who's never pleased, who's never happy. You can never be good enough or giving enough or kind enough or whatever. These are all mirror reflections, because the only reason you stick around in a toxic relationship. By the way, guys, if you haven't picked up on this by now, we're not just talking about fucking mirrors. There's more to it than that. These are allegories for relationships. Because everything is everything, and you can take this information, this wisdom, this understanding. You can apply this in all these different ways. But this is really the reason why people stick in toxic relationships, is that there's something missing in me, and this mirror is giving me. It's filling those gaps. It's filling up those holes that I've got,
or the opposite.
It's
creating holes.
Yep.
It's causing problems.
Yep.
Try this exercise the next time you look in the mirror and you get frustrated with the reflection that you see. Stop. Ask yourself, damn, would this have bothered me at all if I wouldn't have looked into that mirror?
Yeah, that's good.
Would it have even been on my radar? Would it even been a problem for me? No, it wouldn't have. So now you can identify an unhealthy relationship in whatever mirror you're looking into, whether it be a relationship, whether it be another person, a relationship with something in your life, or the actual reflection of yourself in your bathroom mirror. If I wouldn't have seen that, if I wouldn't have engaged in this activity of looking into that mirror, would I be frustrated right now? No, it would have been non-important in my life. I would have pressed on without this emotion that is a negative emotion. That's where the problem lies.
Yeah.
You have to be conscious in that moment. And then you can recognize. And once you can recognize and become aware in that moment, now you can start taking the steps that you need to take to deal with that in a healthy, appropriate way and find that balance in that relationship.
It's all a mirror, man. It's all a mirror. We're surrounded by mirrors in life. Every relationship is a mirror, and every relationship says something about you and does something to you. Be aware of it. Don't give those things too much value, It's like I want to surround myself with people that I want to live up to their expectations, because I don't want to disappoint my people. I don't want to be living to chase someone's approval. I want to.
Yeah.
I want to be surrounded by good enough people that I want to live up to their expectations and make them proud. And I think that's an interesting nuance to understand. But again, it's just a mirror. If I surround myself with wonderful people, good, positive, uplifting, insightful people, and they respect me when I am being my best authentic self, with all my flaws and all of my my insecurities and all of my bullshit. But if the people that I'm surrounded by are good people, and they love me for who I am, that reflection on me is fucking tremendous. That's a great place to be living in, But I've also lived in a previous life in a way where I was surrounded by people that I wanted to impress, and I wanted to be part of that life, And then that's when your values are fucked, and you're just, the calibration's way off.
I abide by, you are a lot of, as a person, the 5 closest people that you associate with. You totally are the people that you keep. You are
you
the
become
company
the 100%. Yeah, you come.
Goes
like
back to
5.
Britt and Chris had the wonderful 7 and above.
Oh yeah, shout out to Britt and Chris Carmichael.
Yeah, hey guys,
love them.
It's the 7 and above rule. It's you are the people you surround yourself with, and if they're toxic, and you're not getting that that relationship of building up and mutual understanding and respect, and they don't help you grow as a person, then you kind of become that. You take on those toxic traits.
You do.
It's inevitable, because we're all walking around with this magnetic field of energy, this Taurus field that we walk, and you will pull people into it, and then certain people will come in and disrupt your Taurus field and cause friction in there.
You're going to, so the heart creates this really powerful Taurus field of energy, and we talk about it a lot, but it drags people in. You will drag people of a similar vibration into your zone.
They will come like magnets.
Yeah. Yep. Authenticity is magnetic, right? You're going to drag that in, especially when you're authentic, right? Which is interesting, because you kind of got to be careful of certain things with that. But if you're putting out a bullshit vibe and you're doing a good job of faking it, you're going to really do a great job of pulling in bullshit people. I've been there too.
Yep.
I used to attract a lot of friends, man. And it was like, oh man, I'm really popular. This guy likes me. This person likes me. She likes me. He likes me. It's like, oh man, I'm so popular. Well, it's like I was really good at living in a bullshit space.
It's hollow.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And you just put out this hollow vibe, and you attract people with the same hollow vibe, and it's just chasing superficial fulfillment in life and chasing these cultural expectations and materialism, all of that. But, over the last, 4 years or so of just sort of going a whole different direction in my life, I've shed all of that, and I've attracted and reconnected with so many people that are just tremendous people. We were at breakfast this morning, right?
Yeah.
Just at breakfast, fucking stuffing our faces like some total fat shits. And you'd never been to this place before.
Nope.
It's like my favorite breakfast place. So I finally got you out there. And so we just ordered everything. We just had the whole fucking floor, the whole table covered in things.
Plates everywhere.
Yeah, plates everywhere. And there's like this really sweet, outgoing, authentic lady just fucking walks up out of nowhere. And she's like, oh my God, that looks so good. What's going on? And like, we just sat there and had this great conversation with her. And she's like, well, I'm going to just come pull a chair up and sit down and eat with you guys. And we just made this awesome connection with this person.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm convinced there's no explaining why she stopped at our table, other than the fact that our hearts were sitting there radiating. We were having a great conversation. We were energetic. We were just pumping this out. And she literally walked around the corner, saw us, and just dove right into it.
Came right up.
Just dove in. This is, that was a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
She was a mirror for us. This was the energy that we were putting out. So if you're attracting shitty people in your life, which is something that's a circumstance I can totally relate with, by the way. I sympathize.
I think most people can. Yeah. I think we all can. To a degree.
This is a mirror. I'm talking into a mirror here. But if you're attracting that, just consider, what the fuck are you doing in life, right? Maybe it's not all the rest of the world doing this to you. Maybe there's a vibe that you're putting out. Maybe you're not being a shitty person, but maybe you're looking for shitty people. Maybe your subconscious is putting that out.
Maybe you just have a really shitty outlook or attitude.
Yes, right. Those vibes that you're putting out. It's like what you expect. We were talking with Robert about if you're skiing and you don't want to hit the tree. And you don't want to hit the tree. You don't want to hit the tree. You don't want to hit the bam. You hit the fucking tree.
Yeah.
We go through life like that. It's like you see a lot of these posts. Especially like dating people. That are like all women are shit. All guys are shit. Whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like people are out dating. I'm not in that game, but people are out there actively pursuing a mate. And they're going out with this attitude. I'm going to go on a date. Probably going to be a shitty date. Probably a bunch of shitty guys out there, a bunch of shitty women out there. And you put that out, and then you wonder why there's this disharmonic, there's this dissonance whenever you go out on this date, and the vibes just aren't clicking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it comes from. But if you just get into your authentic, and just nestle into your authentic fucking place, figure out who you are, identify, whether it's an archetype that you want to vibe as, it's the role that you want to play in life, because we all play roles. Realize it or not, everything that you do is your costume, your way of thinking, the way you deliver your lines. It's a role. What role do you want to play? Do you want to be the playboy with the nice watch and the nice shoes, the nice car, and then fucking vibe in that place and attract the people that want to be around that?
You can do that.
You can totally fucking do that.
Go for it.
And you
That's
can
what you want.
You could do well at that. We had dinner with a friend of ours the other night. Told you. And I won't say his name, but he's a good friend, and maybe he'll come on the podcast too, because I'd love to have him on. But he was, he's like 25. He's like a hotshot finance guy. Went to school for finance.
Okay.
Makes damn good money. Lives in Uptown. Got a sick place. All this stuff, and he's realizing that is not the way. He's realizing the fakeness of that whole universe. And then he's been out with Uncle Tim and Aunt Linda up in Connecticut.
Getting some medicine.
Getting the medicine, up there hanging out with Paul Isaac and Will Evans and going, I'm in the wrong fucking place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get a dose of the medicine. And he goes up there, I guess, like 1 week out of the year or something like that, and hangs out with the family up there. And, you just go up with these authentic people that don't give a fuck what job you have, how much money you make, what kind of car you drive. And then you go back to your job in the finance business and, your really ritzy apartment, which I'm not dissing on him having a nice place, because that's your castle. I get that. Mm-hmm. But all of the trappings that come with that, he's just like, man, this is not who I want to be. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to have these values, because it's a relationship, and everything says something about you, does something to you. And, that is a realization that I see more and more people making. And that's part of the product of doing this show too, is like, we have these conversations with people, dozens and dozens and dozens of people all the time, every week, that reach out and they're like, man, I didn't know any other way to do it. Mm-hmm. Fuck, man, I get it. Me too.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I have a podcast like this. I had to go a whole different route and bang my head against a wall for, 15 years as an adult, doing a bunch of shit that I didn't want to do before I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
There's a different way.
There's always a different way.
Different way to go.
And for a lot of people out there, I know that this is a very common thing, is anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Social anxiety.
Yeah.
Being anxious about going and doing certain things, right? Because in an anxious mind, you go, well, I'm going to have a panic attack if I go there, right?
Yeah.
If I go, just inevitably I'm going to have a panic attack and it's going to ruin my thing. Well, you're creating that, right? And so the mere reflection of what you're getting on the other side is you inevitably have a panic attack.
Yeah, it's a spiral, and it starts with you feeling like you need to fulfill a certain expectation when you get there, right? When's the last time you walked into, a house with 3 or 4 of your very best friends, and just had a panic attack? Just doesn't happen.
Doesn't normally happen.
Doesn't happen because there's no expectation there. There's no fraudulence. You're not trying to be a thing, But like you say, you're going to this place. You're going to this thing, this event.
As somebody who suffered from crippling anxiety for many, many years, that was exactly what it was. As I was creating that.
Yeah.
I knew what was going to happen before I even gave whatever was going to happen a chance to happen. I just knew it wasn't going to work out for me, right? And so the anxiety all the way up into the thing, and then I confirmed all of my suspicions by having anxiety while I was there, but I never gave myself the opportunity to not have it, because I knew internally what was going to happen, and the reflection of that was exactly what I had created here.
Yeah.
I didn't give myself a chance, and I figured out, and that's how I helped with my getting rid of my anxiety and stuff, was, I was assuming that it was going to happen, and then I would get anxiety about if it could possibly happen, and then potentially having anxiety was causing anxiety. And so
thanks to the mirror.
Yeah. Recognition. You look in that mirror and you see that and you don't like it. Recognize that. Why don't you like it? Change that relationship. Change that cycle.
One of my favorite bands of all time is called Rise Against.
Mm-hmm.
They're a punk rock band, and they have an album called The Sufferer and the Witness. The Sufferer and the Witness. And I've thought about that when I was in certain altered states of consciousness, that I became the sufferer and the witness, What I, in this moment now, I'm seeing is staring into the mirror, the sufferer and the witness, right? Mm-hmm. And this is that mirror reflection of, I'm not good enough. No, you're not good enough. I'm seeing what you are. You're not good enough. And who's the sufferer? Who's the witness there? Mm-hmm. Is it you or is it the reflection? But there is this sort of, this duality that exists within us. There's this mirror at the core of our consciousness. I've seen it. A lot of people have talked about it, written songs about it. It's a very psychedelic concept to understand, but there's a mirror there. It's like you ever stood like in my bathroom We have a mirror on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you get caught in the infinity.
Caught in the infinite mirror loop that is consciousness. That's what it is. And you can sit there and get into those negative spirals. But at the end of the day, if you're anchored and calibrated properly right in the middle of it, then all your relationship with yourself is going to spiral out into all your other relationships. And shit's going to be a lot easier and a lot more harmonic. And I'm at a point in life now, dude, I'm fucking far from perfect, right? All kinds of problems like anybody else. But my relationship with myself is at least better than it's ever been.
Here.
Do you know what I mean? And now I can look in the mirror. I can look in the mirror for the first time ever, and really, when I look in the mirror, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I've got my shit together, care enough about my appearance to be proud of what I see in the mirror, but I'm not obsessed with it enough to the point where my value is determined by what I'm seeing in the reflection of it. I look in the mirror and I can smile, and that's a cool place to be.
It's a nice spot to operate from.
Yeah. Give a shit about yourself. Take yourself seriously, but not too seriously.
Don't let it get in your way.
Don't let it get in you. Don't get in your own way. We got to be more playful with ourselves. We got to be more forgiving of ourselves. Playfulness, for me, big thing I'm trying to work on. We talked about this earlier. Dancing with your kids.
Yes.
Just being willing, especially as a grown man, to dance, to move, to be goofy.
Be uncomfortable.
I scared my kid last night. I was playing with him. I put on a Halloween mask. He fucking got terrified, started screaming and crying, and I felt like the worst fucking person in the world.
That will happen.
God. But that's me being a fucking caveman trying to play with my kids and terrify them.
Mm-hmm.
But we jump on the trampoline together. I don't always make my kids cry when I play with them.
Hopefully not.
God. I don't know how much more I have to offer this conversation, guys, but just think of as with any episode we do, personally here kind of as the guy doing the talking and thinking and having JC trying to make sense of my bullshit when it comes out of my mouth. The reality here is that we're just here to talk and bring out ideas, and then you guys go run with it.
Yes.
This whole mirror conversation is not about the words that we're, it doesn't start and end with this conversation.
It's a way of thinking about literally everything.
Yeah.
Or anything.
This is not the totality. And I think sometimes, I personally, just here on this show, I get caught up trying to make the message for you guys, to package it and deliver it and give it all to you.
A nice little bow.
And man, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that when you're talking about issues of consciousness and reality and self-reflection and, embodying, the person that you want to be and all the complexities and differences and variables that a human being can exhibit.
We're all too very different, and our relationships with everything are all different. So there's really no one way for any of these things we talk about to work for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to find their own way and their own path. And I feel like this is just a great outline, and there's some things that you can take and apply and then start to work on that, and it can change your life, because I can tell you it will, because I know it.
Yeah.
It has for me, So there is important messages, but it's not everything is the same for everybody, so it's really hard to encapsulate
so
it.
take these messages that we drop for you guys, and just know that we do it with love, right? We're not fucking experts. I don't think anybody's an expert on this. I don't care. I don't know who you are, right? Mm-mm. But we do this from a place of love. We take the time out of our days and our lives to do this, and we wouldn't do it if we didn't think it would help. And a lot of this is really our journey in real time.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean? Because we're sort of on this journey, and we have seen the impact and the ripples of impact that take place in your life whenever you start exercising some of these principles. We talk about Hermeticism, right? The principles of Hermeticism and what it means to understand as above, so below, as within, so without, all these types of things. We talk about spirituality, right? The importance of having some sort of understanding of the non-physical, right? Because even if you just want to think about spirituality in terms of emotions and thoughts, it's all non-physical stuff that physiology doesn't really explain all that well. We talk about shamanism, which is just the understanding of how to heal through finding balance in the material and the spiritual realms together, and doing that through, an active seeking of spiritual conversation with the other side. We talk about religion, which is really just a practice, the applied practice of spirituality in your life. So I always say that, like, religion is to spirituality what exercise is to fitness.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So don't come at me with your bullshit about religion being stupid. Religion is to spirituality what exercise is to fitness. It's just an exhibition of your fitness. So we talk about all these things, but really at the end of the day, we want to help. We want to document what we're doing that's working and not working, and the struggles that we've had, because what we've come to find is that we're not the only ones having these struggles. A lot of people are having these struggles. Mm-hmm. Men, women, even young people of both genders. I don't want to get into that whole gender.
It's universal.
Yeah, it's a universal thing, these struggles. Self-identity, right? Securities and insecurities and vanity and, toxic traits of all kinds and traumas. That's what we're really into here. It's how to unravel all that shit. Mm-hmm. And
we're all walking around with it. We all got to deal with it. We all got to process it.
And we all struggle with how to find and live as ourselves in the midst of it. So, the message I'm going to bounce on is the one I got from a good friend, David Halsey, this morning. Be yourself. The world will fucking adjust.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's it for today, guys. Appreciate you so much. Go subscribe, and I really do mean it. If you guys would comment and or comment particularly and rate this stuff on, especially Apple Podcasts. That's where we seem to be getting most of the traction. Obviously, you guys can get video if you go to YouTube, and we're going to have other cool videos we're going to put up there too. But if you will and comment and then rate the Apple Podcast videos, it really helps us get bumped up in the algorithms, which gives us more exposure to more people. And if this kind of message is helpful to you or to anyone that you might share it with, then please consider supporting us on the Patreon too. And you can get a link to all of our stuff at wayfinderpodcast.com. It's super easy to navigate. You just type in the website, you go there, the links are there. It's fucking easy. And just know that we do it all for you guys. You got anything else?
Breathe.
Man.
Just breathe.
Just breathe. Big in, big out. May the light be upon you. May peace be within you. And may you be a sun on the paths of all men. You guys have a great week. See you next time.
Do you remember when you looked in the water and saw your reflection, the embers? They drew out a map and they showed you direction. Your sender is far in the east, where your heart is at peace when you enter. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder. My love is just a reminder, find your center. Well, help me recall that first morning, sunlight at dawn, and cracks on the floor, well, it served as a warning. Everything's changing, I'll rearrange it. So familiar, so amazing. Hopped in the car, drove through the mountains, cows in the street, prayer beads you were counting. There was the river, eternal giver, flowing forever. Remember, find your center. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder. Your way, colors start to fade. Take a look within, find your offering. Hold it to the sun, let your spirit run. Remember, remember. reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder.